Call to order this board meeting of the Santee Ynez Community Service District on Wednesday, June 17th, 2020. And if we can begin with roll call.
Director Muller?
Here.
Director Beard?
Here.
Director D'Ambra?
Here.
Director Jones?
Here.
Director Redmond?
Yes.
Okay, Frank, will you lead us in the flag salute?
Okay, Frank Muller.
I pledge allegiance to the flag,
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so next up we have public comment. I see we do have some members from the public here. This is an opportunity to comment on things that are not on our agenda. So if you're here for specific agenda items, you can wait until those come up. And if you have something not related, now would be the time to make your comment. I do not believe,
Do you have an agenda?
Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. And we're looking for the board to, if they have not already reviewed, to review the special meeting minutes of May 13th. And we're looking for an approval of those minutes, approval of the regular meeting minutes from May 20th, and the current treasurer's dashboard report from May 15th to June 16th, and the profit and loss. I think most of the questions that I'm going to have are probably going to be when Wendy reviews the budget as far as that stuff. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the items.
Okay. We have a motion from Director D'Ambra and a second from Director Redfern to approve the consent agenda. Wait for Wendy to come back, or I could just ask if.
We'll do a roll call vote.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Director D'Ambra.
yes.
Aye. Yes.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director. Aye. Director Muller. Aye. Director Redmond. 5-0.
Okay, so the consent agenda passes. And now we go to item 6A, a public hearing. We discussed this at the last meeting. This is a collection of sewer fees on the tax roll. So we go to 6A here. The recommendation is to adopt resolution 20-04, providing for the collection of sewer fees and charges on the tax roll in the same manner as property tax.
Okay, this is Wendy's item, but I will start it up. On May 20th, your board approved resolution 2002, electing to have the sewer services and fees charged on the tax roll for 2020-21 as we've done in the past. And directing staff today to file the report and fixing the time and place of the hearing, which is tonight, to provide the actual collection of the sewer charges on the tax roll. And this is based on your ordinance. I'll let you.
Okay, so on May 18, 2016, the board approved ordinance 0-16-02, approving the sewer service fee increase based on Tuckfield Associates rate study. So for each year, this ordinance approved a 3.75 increase for 5 years. And then on May 20th, your board approved resolution 2002, electing to have the sewer fees and charges collected on the tax roll for the fiscal year 2021. And direct staff to prepare and file a report, and then fix a time and a place for a hearing and provide the notice in the newspaper. So we, ran 2 different days, in the Thursday paper and 1 in the Tuesday paper. We actually got the call, which was the first time ever.
Was that a response to the Tuesday newspaper one?
I think she saw it in the Tuesday paper, and she wanted to know what it was about. And she goes, oh, okay, that's what that is. So,
Yay, it's working.
yeah, so placing the sewer fees, and the other related charges on the tax roll gives the district some revenue in December and April. And guarantees that the district will receive the revenue when the property tax is collected. However, if you decide to adopt the resolution, we do have to make a change to amend the date to say August 10th instead of August 12th.
Is there someone, one of the members would like to make the amendment?
Motion to change the date to August.
Okay. And so I guess this would be a good time to ask if there are any public comments. Everybody here is for Horizon, maybe? No public comments on this? Then we shall close the public hearing. And would any of the members like to discuss this before we go forward? Okay. Then what I would like is a motion to adopt the resolution as amended by Director Beard. So is there a motion? Okay.
Second.
Director DeAmbra seconds the motion. So Wendy?
All right, so we have a motion by Director Beard to adopt resolution 20-04, amending the date to August 10th, and we have a second by Director DeAmbra. Director Muller.
Aye.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director DeAmbra.
Aye.
Director Rainer. Motion passes.
Okay, and now we will go to 6B, which is also Wendy is going to take that item.
So in front of you, you have the final draft of the 2021 budget. For the California Government Code, it requires the board to adopt an annual or biennial budget before September 1st. And the code also requires the board to hold a public hearing and publish a notice in the paper. So we published a notice in the paper, and we're having a public hearing. And the Finance Committee reviewed the first draft of the budget on April 28th and the final draft budget on June 11th with no significant changes. We did the sewer revenue fee is our main source of revenue, and we get approximately $1.1 million per year with that fee. Like I said earlier, it increases 3.75%. This will be the last year, and we'll have to do another rate study to see how we are in line with our fees and to include the wastewater treatment plant upgrade. And currently, our sewer fees are $73.90 per single family dwelling, and they'll increase to $76.67 in the 2021 fiscal year. The district sewer fees are higher than the rest of the cities in the valley because we've been proactive, slowly increasing the rates and preparing for the home and smart treatment plant upgrade. And this year, this coming year, they're going to be installing the aeration system upgrade from what we were told by Solving. So, and then they will hold, they're going to put on hold the rest of that upgrade just because of their finances. So we have to see. So, they're projecting to do that in 2022 based on 21, based on how well they're income. So, a variable there's 2 variables in our budget. How much staff time will be spent at the two-match wastewater treatment plant, because that affects our direct budget. Any time spent over there, we reduce our budget by that if we don't pay for it. And then what the actual costs will be for the solvent wastewater treatment plant upgrade. The aeration system is the largest portion of their upgrade. And they should be making a determination on when they get their consultant to drop the plans on which design they want. So we'll know more of that coming into the next budget year. And then we had a 2% decrease over budget expenses. Operating revenue was budgeted a decrease of 9% due to a significant decrease in time spent at the wastewater treatment plant. And then the interest rates have completely dropped, so we'll probably lose significantly. Like I stated earlier, we will receive 1.1 million in sewer fee revenue, and we'll have a total revenue of 1.9 million revenue, which 460,000 of that is reimbursement from the contract agency and the truck. Our property tax revenue, we received at the end of April. We got most of our money. We're about $18,000 shy, but last week we got another 12,000, so we pretty much got most of our property taxes. So that's good. We also have a sewer benefit fee, which is $49.28 per parcel that has access to sewer or is connected to sewer. And that turns out to be about $38,000 per year. And then we have non-operating income is projected to decrease by $2,200 or 1% as compared to the 1920 budget. And that's from not having reimbursable income from being worth from CSDA, things like that. Right. Property tax, we should get about 181,000 next year, and we got so far I think we've gotten like 180,000. So we have 1 month of revenue left to be paid in probably July for this year. The contract agencies, the admin fees decreased by a total of $6,500 for contracted city. And I like way overstated the revenue that we get from them based on how much time we spent there. We didn't spend very much time at all. And then I also estimated that the wastewater treatment plant that we spent more time there. And again, and that's all based on repair and maintenance and what needs to be done. And then, so the final draft budget has operating expenses less capital will decrease by $33,590, 3% compared to the 1920 approved budget. The decrease in expenses comes from decrease in travel, meetings, education, and maintenance for the building and no GIS enhancements. Personnel costs, we still have 6 full-time employees. There's no change in retirement, and there's the Section 125 health benefit will increase per the January CIP or CPI. But we won't know that until January, and then for the MOU, the salaries will increase by the CPI of 1.9%. Utilities are projected to stay the same, maintenance supplies are projected to stay the same. And the general and administrative budget are projected to stay the same. The district doesn't have any debt. And we're looking at transferring $400,800 to reserve from revenue. And then we have our capital projects. And they are the 300,000, 400 total of 400,000 for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade and design. $80,000 to upgrade the aeration system, which is about 20% of the total cost of the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project. $45,000 to replace the 2004 truck. $85,000 is to complete a portion of the sewer line rehabilitation. $20,000 for a re-rate study. $30,000 for the office upgrade for the front office and the general manager's office. And then $40,000 for new accounting software.
I have a question here.
Yes, sir.
New rate study.
Yes.
It's how much, 28 grand?
20.
20. We just, I'm a little bit confused, so maybe I'm just off center here. We just allocated a 3.75% increase for 5 years, correct? Based on the previous rate study. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate.
Why are we,
Well, actually, that's the last year of the 5-year study.
Yes.
That's what he's asking. That's the 3.7 is the last year of the approved 5-year study of 3.75%.
Yes. So 5 years ago in 16.
so this is the last year of the previous
Yes,
5?
so
Okay.
going forward.
Okay, because I was concerned that we had 5 years henceforward
Oh, no.
as opposed, and then we're doing another rate study now, and I was thinking, you do the rate study the 4th year of the 5th year coming
Yes.
for more, okay, got that, thank you for clarifying that.
We have to have the new rate study done by next year, probably by February, so we can implement if there's an increase. We have to do the whole section, Prop 218, and notice everybody and do that whole process.
Okay, and that's for, that rate study is for the next 5 years on what they project?
Correct.
Okay. When is in that 5-year increment, when is the rate study? Is it the second of, is it the beginning of the 5-year term, middle, or towards the end of the 5-year term? That rate study is actually implemented.
It would be, the next study, if it's done next spring, it would take effect in the July of 2021.
Okay,
So 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, going forward.
is it more efficient, more effective, and more accurate to have the rate study done at the very end of a fiscal term? Because consistent changes in interest rates, for one thing, there's dynamic changes going on in the economy and other things here that in essence can make that extremely antiquated before it's even implemented. Is that a fair assessment?
It's not unfair. It's not unfair. So these rate studies in 5 years is just the maximum number of years. You can do a rate study for 1 year.
Well, I'm looking at the cost and the effectiveness of that cost, because we make decisions based on a rate study that we hope is focused and accurate. But that, and the closer it is to the next fiscal year that it's going to be implemented, makes it that much more accurate as opposed to being the first of the 5. And I'm just trying to zero this in to be much more effective at $20,000 a pop. I'd like to make sure that it's functioning to our greatest advantage, ultimately our consumers' greatest advantage. And is there a way we can run it towards the end of that 5-year cycle?
I think the way to do that was,
Does that make sense to
it
you?
does. No, because you adopt a percentage increase on next year for the next 5 years. This would.
Yeah,
So another way to tackle that problem is to revisit it every year or halfway through with a consultant or staff and say, what major assumptions that were done next spring have really changed in 3 years now? What major items have changed to where the rates could go down or go up again? And then you would have to, you can always reduce rates without doing anything.
yeah.
You adopted a 4%, and then in 3 years you go, wow, we reduced the staff person. It would save us $100,000. The consultant will look at staff currently. He'll assume staffing remains the same and actually goes up by the cost of living 5 years. What if you eliminate a staff person? I'm not proposing that.
Yeah.
But that's a big cost item. Or something else, or interest rates go real high or go to nothing. Then I've done that with rate studies before. The rates, they go down halfway through the study. You can't increase them.
Well, but going down is the right direction to go.
For everybody.
Yeah,
Like, we all
to
like
make
to do
people
that.
happy. When you pay for an expensive rate study and halfway through you say, oh, got to up it a little bit more.
Can't do that. So,
Yeah.
So the question of, can you analyze it halfway through the 5-year period?
Well, my question is, the rate study should be good for 5 years. At 20,000 a pop, it's a lot of math. But my feeling is, nobody can project 5 years. Who would have helped projected this virus and the catastrophic effect it's had on us, and we haven't even come to fruition on, for the most part, economically. I don't see how we could implement 5 years of cost analysis in the future. I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do it, we should do it at the end of the cycle, not at the beginning. In other words, we're in a cycle right now, we've got a 3.75% annual increase for the 5 years. Well, when we get the fourth or the fifth, I think I'm seeing at that time would be the best time to implement.
Are you there?
Yeah, we are there, and that's
We
what's
are.
happening. Yeah.
Okay, I thought we were talking, because you said for the next 5 years, but we've already projected for 5 years.
Well, with the projection ends in the 2021 budget year. So to stay on track, you have to have it done by the spring of 21 for the
Next 5.
July.
Okay, so
1, because it's July 1 to June 30th.
is this accurate? We're gonna spend another 20 grand for projection of costs in doing business for the next 5 years, and we're not gonna have any more consultant upgrades like that until such times that 5-year cycle expires?
Unless we need
Or
one.
the fourth, and what would define us needing one?
For water sewer fees, we'll
Yeah.
unless, what catastrophic thing could happen to rates? I don't know.
Well-
An earthquake, the system breaks all down.
Or you could
Well,
have
that's
this
something out of
COVID
our
thing
hands.
going
A
on.
new virus.
And the cities are gonna have probably a lot more to deal with financially than we are.
So what I'm saying is that's gonna be for 5 years. It's not gonna be 2 years from now, we need to upgrade and spend another 20 grand on that. Okay, that's all I wanted. I just,
We should not.
Yeah, the consultant uses some historical inflation numbers and data like that to project where equipment's gonna go up, or price of fuel, or labor is a big part of it. It's the biggest part, 60%. So he just looks at labor costs and just says, what's the MOU say? That's what labor's gonna go up every year for 5 years. Pretty good, accurate estimate.
okay.
Medical and otherwise.
I just wanted to make sure that it was accurate or close as possible
Yes.
for that cycle of time.
Can't get much closer.
Yeah, just, unless there's a big reduction in cost, we'll revisit the rates. Because all you're doing is putting money in the bank. There's nothing wrong with that.
But you're losing money.
Well, we're looking at the capital project. I still have my phone with this truck. This four-wheel
Okay,
drive.
that's another line item. Can you wait?
Sure.
Okay,
And that's been noted.
yes,
We noted
I
that.
have something I want to add.
okay. So can you wait for that line item?
Sure.
Because in the budget, it
I'm
says,
getting weak.
huh?
I'm getting weak.
Okay. All right. So do you guys have any questions on the budget?
No,
No?
proceed.
Let's see, that, but we have a.
Okay, I thought you were gonna go over line item stuff.
Well,
If you want to.
Oh, no, that's what Frank's question was
The
about.
10-year capital improvement plan.
But we're still in a public hearing.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
We have to like. wait for-
Okay, so with that said, then there are no questions. So we have received the staff report. Are there any public comments on the budget? Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for a motion to adopt resolution 20-05. Okay, Director Beard has made the motion.
Second.
Director Mueller has seconded.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director Muller to adopt resolution 2005, adopting the operating capital budget for fiscal year 2021. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Muller.
Aye.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Deandra.
Aye.
Director Redmond. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. Now we are going to go to action items, number 7A. And the first action item is appointment of general manager, approval of employment agreement. And so I will go ahead and turn over to John.
Thank you. So at the history on the February 19th board meeting, your board directed the ad hoc general manager recruitment committee to begin the recruitment for general manager. This process concluded with interviews of the top candidates at a special meeting on May 13th. At that point, your board directed myself to present a conditional job offer to your top candidate, Mr. Jose Acosta, pending his background and reference investigation and successful negotiations of the employment agreement. Those background and reference investigations are all positive. They did come back all good, but they did not identify any concerns. Your council prepared the attached employment agreement pursuant to your board's direction. So the recruitment process is now complete. So my work will terminate here on Mr. Acosta's first day, which is July 20th. He will be giving notice, approved by your board today. He'll be giving notice to his employer tomorrow. I did offer to assist him. I met with him last week, and I spoke with him on the phone a few times. I did offer to assist during the transition period or otherwise as needed. And I could do that under my current employment agreement. His starting salary will be $120,000. And this salary can be amended by your board in the future. The benefit include medical and pension and vacation sick leave as received by all other CSD employees. Additionally, the general manager receives 5 administrative leave days per year, $500 a month car allowance, and $80 a month cell phone allowance. Your board, it was a competitive process for the general manager recruitment. It was not a, we did go out for applications and the committee reviewed those, and of course, the interview by the board. Your board, did determine that Mr. Acosta was the best fit for the CSD based on his 23 years of work experience in special district and city utility departments, water departments. He currently holds the position of utility system manager for the Los Osos CSD, where he operates the day-to-day operations of the system, including some capital budget work and budget development. As he's familiar with the San Ynez Valley, working here in the past in water agencies and cities. He did apologize for not being here tonight. He did provide me with a statement, which he asked me to read to your board. He had a committee meeting tonight, last committee meeting, at the Utilities Committee of the Los Osos CSD. So this is what he wanted to say. First, to apologize for not attending the meeting, but he said he wants to thank the board for this opportunity and looks forward to working with the board and collaborating with you, our employees, and the citizens of the community. He says, I'm excited to hit the ground running and accomplishing the projects and tasks needed to ensure our CSD remains strong and dedicated to the community. Thank you.
Nice.
So, otherwise, Rick can answer any questions on the contract, or I can. Otherwise, we're looking for.
Well, and also I was going to see if there was any public comment on this. Is there anyone here who wanted to comment on our new general manager? Okay. So, and Rick, was there anything else that we should know?
No, I think you can see the terms in the employment agreement with the salary of $120,000 and the benefits that are discussed there. The 3 months severance pay for termination without cause. The benefits are the same as the other employees receive. In this case, he gets 3 week or 15 days of vacation. Then there's the holiday sick leave, health, dental, vision. What he gets in addition that the other employees don't get is a $500 a month car allowance and an $80 a month cell phone allowance. And so the recommendation is that's what makes up the compensation and fringe benefit package.
Okay. Are there any questions from anyone on the board on the,
I have a question, John. You had said he's going to come in and you're going to leave. You're not going to stay here and kind of get him acclimated to the protocol?
I can.
What was his?
He didn't specifically say that. He asked that I am available, but he did not specifically ask.
Request that you
Yes,
kind of,
and maybe
guide him.
he will, and
Okay.
he'll work that out.
is July 20th a Monday? Because I'm just envisioning a 1 week overlap, like your last week could be his first, just where you show him where we keep the hole puncher, or go around and introduce him to ID1, or, just,
Yeah,
we still value your opinion. We're not quite done with you yet, John.
No, I appreciate that. I just, I did not want to step on toes when there's two general managers here at the same time. One that used to be in, and so I'm sensitive to that, and I don't know exactly what he's feeling, so maybe we need to, him and I will work that out, one way or the other.
okay.
What
Transition.
I would suggest, we'll see how the board feels about this, but if we make your last day July 25th and then have an open-ended consultant kind of agreement with you, and then you and Jose can work it out as needed, where it's not like, no, Jose, we want John to be here that first week with you, or vice versa. Oh, you don't need him? Fine. I'd like the happy medium. Anybody else have anything on that? Okay, well, then it comes down to looking for a motion to approve. Let's see what the wording on the motion is here.
It's to appoint Jose Acosta as the general manager and approve the.
Okay, so do I have a motion to appoint Jose Acosta as the SYCSD general manager and approve the attached employment agreement? Director Beard has made the motion.
I'll make the second.
Director D'Ambra has seconded the motion. So Wendy?
All right, so we have a motion by Director Beard and second by Director D'Ambra to appoint the general manager and approve the general manager appointment agreement. We do a roll call vote. Director Muller.
Aye.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director D'Ambra.
Aye.
Director Wright. Motion passes.
Okay. Hey, we have a new general manager. Exciting. So now we will move to item 7B, LAFCO, Municipal Service Review, Sphere of Influence Communication. So John?
Okay, so the issue of the municipal service review, the MSR, and to some extent the related sphere of influence has come up at board meetings, and President Jones and I have talked about that before. She's passionate about this. So I wanted to bring the item forward to your board for a review regarding this issue. And they're related, but they're separate. MSR and sphere of influence are related to each other, but in our case, they're somewhat separate. So the question is really, we want to have a correspondence with LAFCO about these items. The municipal service review is an update of the agencies that is done by LAFCO. It is not done by the CSDs or the cities or otherwise the districts. LAFCO staff, that's their requirement to do that. It's under the state law. They perform this to look at the services that an agency is providing. It's a planning document is what an MSR is. It's really a 20-year planning document, but it's updated. A sphere of influence is updated about every 5 years or as needed. And when you update the sphere of influence, you update the MSR at the same time. And they look at everything from what your rates are. They will look at what the rates are for water and sewer agencies, the type of facilities you have, the adequacy of those facilities, in our case, to handle wastewater, the staffing you have, of course, in the land use and the planning issues within your district, socioeconomic issues within your agency. They look at lots of things for an MSR. And as I said, they're usually, an MSR is done in conjunction with the SOI, Sphere of Influence Update, which is there about every 5 years or as needed. Our last MSR was done in 2006. So clearly it's outdated. And there could be a lot of reasons for this. You know, LAFCO could simply, Santa Barbara LAFCO could simply have other higher priority issues that they're looking at. They could have a staffing issue. It takes staff to do these on LAFCO's point, or they hire a consultant to do them. And in our specific case, saying this, we've had a number of sphere of influence issues. The West Side is one that I know of. I think there's been some others that have rolled around.
Los Olivos?
Many agencies, when LAFCO looks at their sphere of influence, it hasn't changed for 20 years. And there's no ideas to make it change. So their MSR or sphere of influence update is relatively quick. Setting as CSD may be more complex. And I don't know if that's the reason for the long delay. At the same time, I did check with some of the districts by Lompoc, CSDs, and they had waited many years for their MSR, and they got a draft in 2018, commented on it. Still don't have anything back from LAFCO. Our neighbors are at Los Alamos told LAFCO in 2017, nothing's changed here as far as our sphere of influence. We don't need anything. The Los Alamos, just not much has changed. Clearly, a lot has changed in the San Diego. The West Side alone is a big change. That's a big, lots of property that we brought in. So that's one question. And the related question is the sphere of influence. And it's related in our respect because on January 25th, 2016, we submitted an application to Santa Barbara LAFCO to expand our sphere of influence to include Los Olivos. That application was submitted looking at the history because of citizens' concerns and interests about their wastewater issues in Los Olivos, and the district pitched in as a potential opportunity to provide wastewater services to Los Olivos. Subsequent to that, in Los Olivos, as we know, is in the local area management plan for groundwater contamination. Since then, though, in 2017, Los Olivos did form their own CSD, and for local control over wastewater issues. They, however, our application is still pending at LAFCO. LAFCO did not, we did not withdraw it, and LAFCO did not disapprove it. They put it on hold. So Los Olivos has a CSD that is trying to build a wastewater plant. And they need some time for that. 20 or 25 years probably. It just takes a long time. So they're working towards it. So the question I have is both, do we want to correspond to LAFCO about, hey, can we get an update on what is the status of our MSR? Is it in the pipeline somewhere? Are we looking at 2 years or 5 years or 10 years? And related to that, do we want to take any action for the application that is on hold to expand our sphere of influence to include Los Olivos, which may be complicating the updates for setting this CSD?
I'd like to withdraw it. I was there. It was insulting to the people of Los Olivos. I believe they were 73 to 21 against it. We have problems here, and then again, it's the past board and management who was throwing debris out there, seeing how much will stick to the walls. You alienated a lot of people on the west side. You alienated Los Olivos. I think it's best we just worry about San Ynez. Okay, we have problems to deal with here, and we're talking about going and annexing. This is we just don't get it, folks. This is just a small community. We live here for the ruralness of it. And if you want to start building high-density condominiums, then maybe you should go back to Santa Barbara, Los Angeles. I think this community is best served if we just concentrate on what we have and the problems we have. And Los Olivos is doing fine now. They don't need us. They showed us that. And again, it was an outreach on our part to expand the tentacles, if you will, of prior management to reach and surround as much as you could. It even went to Solvang and tried to annex areas of Solvang that are in their district. But we have problems right here tonight that our people are here waiting for their service, and we're taking energy where it should be dedicated here and throwing it out in places that we have no legal right to be. So my feelings are, as you can tell, we just withdraw that application.
I'm also concerned, something that you said earlier, John, about how that can impact our municipal service review. We need to put that baby to bed one way or another, but I am interested in hearing from Mr. Battles. Oh, and also we may have a public comment, but Mr. Battles.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to withdraw our application. We put it on hold so that the Los Olivos, their community application could proceed. We had submitted ours first, so there was a question regarding priority. And we did submit a letter saying, if you want to go ahead and to LAFCO, this was a letter to LAFCO, if you do want to go ahead and process the Los Olivos application first ahead of ours, we won't object. And there wasn't any particular authority for doing that, but that was just the way it was agreed upon that we would proceed. And so ours has been sitting there dormant for all this time now. And I think it would be appropriate to formally withdraw it or take some action unless the board, wants to leave that option open. There's nothing that would prevent the board from filing a new application in the future. That would change the priority position. But given the fact that nothing is moving forward now, it would seem appropriate to me that you'd withdraw that dormant application and you could take another look at it in the future if it made sense to do something in the Los Olivos area.
We'll have more information as Los Olivos proceeds. We have somebody new coming in from LAFCO. We have a new GM coming in here. Seems like a perfect time to just clean up the loose ends and start fresh if we want to start fresh.
It was February of 2017 that we authorized LAFCO to put our application on hold and proceed with the application from Los Olivos.
Then I also believe our board voted on it one time after that, again, after Los Olivos' election results came back, but I don't have the minutes there. But it makes sense now to move forward in a different way.
Yeah, and I think it would also be appropriate to ask LAFCO to move forward to update our MSR. That's supposed to happen every 5 years.
I agree.
And I don't think there's any particular urgency there. It's just a loose end. And if you're addressing the sphere of influence, now's an appropriate time to address the MSR also. It may not be the best time on LAFCO's end to address it because of the situation with their executive officer, but that could, at least we could make the request and it would then be before LAFCO.
No, I like it. And did anyone have any public comments on this?
I agree.
Okay, well then, do we have a motion? Do I need a motion from staff, Rick, to withdraw the sphere of influence? That should be done in the motion.
I think an action like this should be taken by formal board action with a motion, a second, and a vote. And it should address both the sphere of influence application and the MSR, municipal service review.
Well, I would like to ask for a motion that deals with them both in the same one, that we contact LAFCO. We direct staff to contact LAFCO, withdraw the sphere of influence increase for Los Olivos and
Ask the question about the
MSR, yes, and let them know we're ready to talk MSR when they're ready to get us one. Okay, so Director Beard made the motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded. Wendy.
So we have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director D'Ambra to direct staff to write a letter to withdraw from the sphere of influence application for Los Olivos and to inquire about.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Director Muller.
Aye.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director D'Ambra.
Aye.
Okay, now we shall go to 7C, which is the 10-year capital improvement plan. Wendy.
All right, so this is our 10-year CIP, and we reviewed it with the Finance Committee, and It's more of a planning tool on where we're gonna go, what we might do. The California Government Code requires a budget to perform generally accepted accounting and budgeting procedures for special districts to include categories for capital outlay, which is a capital improvement project, and designated reserve for capital outlay and designated reserve contingency. So resolution 1105 says that the general manager shall submit to the board of directors consideration of 10-year capital improvement plan. The capital improvement plan will be reviewed annually by the finance committee and the manager prior to approval of the district budget. The CIP will be designed to protect the district's investment in capital operating assets through timely and adequate management of its assets. You guys can look at it, and Director Redfern can bring his comment up.
And also, if there are any public comments on this, we can hear them. Director Redfern, did you have,
Yeah, I'd like to know what the difference is, the cost, I mean, what's the cost of the repairs on the vehicle we have right now, that's the 2004 pickup truck? How often have we needed a four-wheel drive? For one manhole, that doesn't seem, even if it's $15,000, justify the cost. Go 300 feet once a year or twice a year. I'd rather see the money invested in a tractor or something with a bucket that, saves people's backs and they can mow the areas off-road they have to go with the vehicle. Plus the tractor can go most places you need a four-wheel drive to go, and if we only have one or two spots, the tractor would be able to handle it. I know the one manhole that they mentioned, it's only a couple of blocks from the office here. I just don't see the need for a four-wheel drive after working here for 17 years.
I appreciate that, and I'm on the same page with you there. A lot of times it makes more sense to rent something if it's not an ongoing job, if you just need this for very specific limited applications. But it's one of the things I'm going to be interested in our new general manager coming on board. That 45,000 holds that place for us. That's like, we've got that money if we need to replace the vehicle.
The cost of this vehicle is actually $87,000, not 45. It's just this year is 45,000.
Okay,
With an additional 40,000, I believe, the next 2 years.
you're
You know the
right.
mileage on the existing vehicle?
No, but
Yeah.
we're not. I mean, if the vehicle breaks down between here and Salt Bay,
It's not an issue.
it's not an issue. I mean, I'm running vehicles in my business that have a lot more. I bet you they have 3 times.
I have a 2004 truck that I run very hard, parked right there. It's got 310,000 miles, and I'll drive it to New York tonight.
Right, exactly.
But
We're spending somebody else's money.
money real easy.
Right.
But if you have to reach into your own pocket, you start thinking. I brought this up when I first came here about replacing. It was on the list then, and I said how many miles were on it, and I believe don't hold me to this, I think 40 some odd thousand,
Right.
which is nothing.
Right.
I believe since this is a 10-year rate study,
Yeah,
we know this vehicle is going to need to be replaced in the next 10 years, most likely. Doesn't mean that the money is actually going to be spent. The board actually has to vote on it anyway to purchase the vehicle, I believe, or give the approval to buy it. So this is our projected costs in the future. I think this has been on here several times in the past. And it's for 2 vehicles.
well, next year we should pop that up to about 60 to 75,000 because the new trucks cost more than my first home.
Right.
It's outrageous.
But I just think there's other pieces of equipment that they would get more use out of, like if you have a tractor, you can put a postal logger on it. If you have a backhoe, do you have a backhoe yet? On and on and on. There's me, you have a pickup truck and it's most likely gonna work 10 more years without a problem, is my guess.
I agree with you, and I think that you're gonna find that, I can't speak for Bob, for me, I usually vote on the side to save money. And that's why I'm excited about having a general manager in here. I hope that he has that same philosophy, because right now we're talking about 600 houses on sewer.
One bad back, how much does that cost? I mean,
Yeah.
you can put forks on a bucket and lift anything with it, with no strain to anybody's back. I just think that there's other pieces of equipment that we need that's more than a 4-wheel drive, which sounds like a lot of fun, but I don't think it's necessary.
Well, you know, we could allocate some funds to go rent, Valley Rental, they got everything.
Right.
Anytime you need it, you call back, they'll deliver it here, you drop them back up, and then we don't have, the overhead over time, we pay as you go. We need it for a week, we rent it for a week, as opposed to, it's gonna be sitting here 99% of the time over time. So that's not cost effective either. I think we'd be smarter to rent on an as needed basis as opposed to purchase something and all the taxes and everything else that goes on top of that.
I agree, but I also hear what Director Beard is saying, that this is a place where we're showing that we need this money, we're
Yes,
designating it on the
yes.
budget. But when it comes time to vote, it doesn't mean that we have pre-approved, like, oh yeah, we're gonna go get top of the line 4-wheel drive truck so we can, when it rains, deal with the mud. Yeah, we will vote on these individual things as they come forward.
And the trucks would be purchased with the state purchase program.
I understand.
Which means we pay more than it's really worth.
They're white, they're always white trucks, not fancy. And as you know, service trucks, like the ones we have in the shop there, those are hard miles. They're not getting on the freeway driving 100 miles. It's stop and go, stop and go. So you might have 30, 40,000 miles, and you go, wow, this thing.
I understand the doors are closed more than most cars, and starters started more than most cars, the engine never really warms up. I understand.
I would say that is an area of expertise of yours. And Bob, do you know how hard these trucks work? Yeah.
But I also know from my history of working here, how often I needed a 4-wheel drive. I used to be the only person working outside. I never had a 4-wheel drive and I never needed it. That's why I bring it up. I don't think it's a necessary.
Like Tacoma's not a 4-wheel drive. Right? It's like a 4-wheel drive. Staff and I, we talked about this, and we did, it is on this, on the 10-year CIP as a planning tool, nothing will be purchased. Pulling the reins back on that. And, but if and when the time comes, it'll be brought forward to the board. Purchase or not purchase, or rent, or lease, or, and we'll make those conditions.
Well, which gets me to another thing on this, the 10-year capital improvement plan. We have Horizon Line, West Side Extension. We have allocated $685,000 because we know that we're going to be spending that
Next year.
Yeah. So, I mean, same kind of thing. Nothing's been carved in stone, but that's what we're expecting. Okay. Are there any questions from anyone else, or did you have some more, Wendy?
No, and you guys just need to approve it if you like, just because we took out, we updated it and we took out a backhoe, a cameraman, and a trench box and a generator, and then added the office upgrade.
As an example, if I may, the cameraman is a great fancy piece of equipment that you can camera sewer lines. We have a minor facility piece of equipment, not a van. One of our neighboring districts spent, I think it was $200,000 on one, and they're looking to rent it out. So rather than buy one, it's off the budget. And if we need the cameraman, we will. We'll call Veteran Village up and say, send it down, and we'll come get it.
We even saw that right next door.
So I don't know if they have one.
I would think they do with all the sewers they
I
got.
don't know.
They have a backtrack.
That would might be for sale.
Yeah.
They keep going.
And they have a backhoe.
Yeah.
You would love a backup. The staff would love
Oh, what man wouldn't? My husband wants one, big deal. Okay, so let's see, any other public comments before we ask for a motion to approve? Recommendation is to review and approve capital improvement plan update for fiscal year 2020 through 2021. Do I have a motion to approve the capital improvement
Karen,
plan?
you have a, in the audience?
Oh, Miss Ivy, yes.
You're really not going to spend that money on Horizon, it's going to be financed, right?
Well, the money will get spent. That question is too easy for me to answer.
But I mean, it's not in your expenditure if you finance it. right?
Well, that's true. That's true. But we will have debt paid on year one. We would not have to write a check for $685,000. We would not. For that, we don't have a loan. We do not have a loan. Yeah.
So it's not really an expenditure.
Well, it will be when we're approving it. We're saying that, yes, we know that over the next 10 years, we have to look at a truck, we have to look at Horizon Drive. These are the things that we know are the big budget items coming up in the next 10 years. Is that a good, just housewife way to say it? So it just means that these are the expenses that we are predicting we are going to have, however we pay them. So did we have a motion to approve the recommendation?
I'll make the motion to approve the recommendation.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so Director Mueller has seconded. Wendy?
A motion by Director Deambra and a second by Director Mueller to approve the capital improvement plan for fiscal year 2021. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Mueller?
Aye.
Director Beard?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Deambra?
Aye.
Director Redford?
Okay, now we're going to go to 7D, Golden Inn. John?
Okay, the Golden Inn project included the construction of a sewer lift station, pump station, and the main lines extensions to the area. Any new district project on the west side of San Ynez cannot proceed without the Golden Inn as part of that project. Sewage will all flow down to that lift station and then be pumped to the main line. So the requirements are to for the Golden Inn, for them to convey those facilities to us, including those easements. We have previously built a pipeline under Highway 246 to support the west side wastewater expansion, including Horizon Drive, as well as the recent San Jacoda project easement and connection into the main line. Your council worked with Santa Barbara County Housing Authority to finalize the grant of rights and easement deeds for the Golden Inn project, and those are attached for your board to review. The Golden Inn project is two separate entities. It's the senior housing and the family housing. That's why you see conveyance of the facilities and easements for both the deeds for both senior housing and the family housing. So with the ownership of the lift station, we needed that piece in place before we moved forward with the project on the west side, up to and including Horizon Drive and everything else behind it. We needed that lift station to flow into and then pump it to the force main on its way to Salt Lake. So that was a cleanup item. We've actually been running it for a couple of years, but it had not been conveyed to us, and no easements had been
This is the final step, and they've agreed to it.
Yes, Housing Authority has. So we're looking at adoption of resolution 2006 and 2007, both for the two different entities. And then we would then have ownership of the lift station and the easements going into the lift station and out of the lift station pipes. to the main line.
Question for you, sir. Did you run into any discrepancies like you did at San Dakota that were lifted your eyebrow if you will, with this?
No,
So this is clean?
no, it's clean. There was a one minor item we took care of in regards to the shut-off mechanism to the lift station. It had worked engineering either way, the shut-off, electrical shut-off. You had to go into the building to shut the electrical off. And we just simply placed a shut-off right next to the lift station. That way, if you dedicate, if you have to work on the lift station for any reason, you want to shut power off, it's real clean. If you shut off electrical on a cabinet somewhere, someone happens to turn it on when you're working on it, it's a bad problem. But otherwise, it was a clean process, and Santa Barbara County Housing dedicated the.
Well, that's good news.
And it was just something that needed to be done.
Needed to be done before we move forward to anything on the west side. Otherwise, you don't have it.
Okay, and so then do we have,
I make the motion that we adopt the resolution 2006 and 2007.
okay, and do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Wendy?
All right, we have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director Mueller to adopt resolution 20-06, accepting the EPD and grant rights and sewer facilities, the Golden Inn Senior Apartments, and adopt resolution 20-07, accepting easement deed and grant rights and sewer facilities of the Golden Inn Village Family Apartments. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Mueller?
Aye.
Director Beard?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Hi.
Director Gambra?
I,
Director Redford? Motion passes.
Okay, now we are going to go to 7E, which is the Horizon Drive Mainline Project update. So you can take that, John.
So the update is on May 20th, your board directed staff to publish a letter to survey residents of both Horizon Drive and Stadium Drive adjacent area, in an attempt to get a better idea of the overall desire for the project. This was primarily Stadium, and your board had asked to, or had considered combining both projects together. So we needed a survey, really both areas, Horizon and Stadium, to get a better idea of the interest in the project before we spend either go into debt, $700,000, or write a check. So we sent letters out to all 53 parcels on both Horizon and Stadium and Jason Way areas. And there's some updates that we still received some survey letters back from since your memo has been published. But of the 53 letters we mailed out, we received 31 responses, which is 58%, which is pretty good for a survey. On Horizon, of the 18 parcels, 15 responded, which is the 80% response rate, which is actually excellent. Of those responses, all 15 on Horizon said they were interested or very interested in a connection to the sewer system. On Stadium Drive, Jason Way, of those 35 parcels, we received 16 responses, so much less, which is about 46%. Of those 16, 6 said they were somewhat interested or interested, very interested, and 10 said they were not interested in a connection to a sewer. And then the reasons for not being interested, folks didn't necessarily have to respond to that. But some of the comments were they had just put in a septic system. Others were, well, they're not interested now, right now, but they might be in the future. So the survey, I think, fulfilled the purpose that we were looking at, the board was looking at, which was to expand the project or to keep the project just to Horizon. It does give us some more feedback, of course, the price sensitivity. And the first item was, do we expand to, do we increase the project size? As you saw, the response from Horizon was overwhelmingly in support. And the reason we're looking for that is we're about to spend money on a project and have debt every year for 20 or 30 years. And we need to see if people really want to connect to the system, or will have opposition once the system is in to connect to it. They won't have a choice there. And I think we saw that the Horizon Drive residents of the 18 parcels there was overwhelming support. Stadium, not so much. Maybe because we have not reached out to Stadium in the past. It's been many years since they heard about this project. At the very least, it is something to look for in the future if we just elect to go with Horizon Drive now and make it a smaller project. The connection analysis that we did, the connection fee analysis, the consultant brought forward, the price of the project goes from $685,000 to $1.6 million to a stadium. So we were hoping that the connection charge per customer by spreading it out would go down drastically. That does not occur. It stays about the same. So it somehow hurts the emphasis to expand the project out, especially if there's not overwhelming support outside of Horizon. Price sensitivity was, of course, everyone's big issue still. And many of the survey letters wanted to know, and I quote, the exact cost of the connection, the exact cost of the lateral, and the exact cost of the abandoning the septic. And we don't have exact costs, and we won't until the project bid is opened up. At that point, we'll get better cost. I've never seen a project not come in without a change order, so let's open up. But the financial analysis that was done gave us a pretty good cost estimate that I think will be pretty close to what residents will see going forward, which was $36,000, just for the connection to the system, not for the lateral or abandoning your septic tank, which is not our project. So price sensitivity is still an issue, and I think the district going forward needs to do everything that we can to keep those fees low. And we can do that through other ways. And then the third question, which was a critical question, it may not seem critical, but which was the installment payment plan. The survey asked to everyone that was interested in the project, are you interested in funding it, or us giving you a loan and you pay us every year through your property taxes, and you spread that over 20 or 30 years? Everyone who responded they were interested says yes, they're interested in that.
Property tax over time.
Rather than a one-time cash payment.
Well, it's a lot. You don't see it, it don't hurt you.
The financial consultant needed that question answered. To remember.
Yes.
We need to estimate when we set this fee up, the connection fee. We need to estimate through the calculation that he has, how many will fund it through the installment payment plan, and how many will fund it through cash. I think we can pretty close to say it'll be 100%. That'll get them through us.
A point on that, we, over 20 to 30 years, we need to look at sale when the property is sold. Does that carry on to the new owner? It used to be not the case here. It was due and payable on sale in the early day in 93, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that if you sold the property, that debt comes due and payable, that you can't encumber the new owner unless they're very much aware of it. I'm pretty sure that's what transpired, and there was some fog about that. So that's something the board, if we do authorize that, how do we want to work it over time? If we could get it back on sale, that would bring our return on investment back much quicker and a lot in a lump sum on sale.
I don't know of that. I don't know that I've heard of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know of the deed restriction that required it to be paid. And they may exist, but
That's what I recall when the house was sold.
It had to be free and clear of the encumbrance of the debt from the sewer. Yeah.
that's a legal question.
That's right. Rick.
Yes, I'm pulling up the installment payment policy now to have a look. There's not, I mean, it really is up to you. That is certainly a condition that you could impose at the time you approve an installment payment plan for any given parcel. You could say, you pay this over time, but if the property is sold, it's got to be paid off. I mean, you do that with a lender. Just looking at what I think is the most recent version of it. And I can tell you here in a minute, but the short answer is it's perfectly legal. It's perfectly appropriate. It would be the reasonable thing to do to require it to be paid off. It's different from an assessment in that regard. When you have an assessment on your property, you form a formal assessment district and everybody pays whether they're connected or not. Those continue on after the property is sold. Now you could have a buyer that would require the seller to pay it off as a condition to buying the property, but generally they carry along with the property. That's different from our installment payment plan, and we can do anything we want on this. So I'm just looking here. And not
But that
finding-
is reasonable.
Yeah. I'm scrolling through the document.
Right, everybody gets what they need. The district needs that money. The customer gets the service they need. The new homeowner enters in with no old debts. Does anybody?
Okay, actually, right now it says that the lien isn't impaired by a transfer to a new owner. It doesn't seem to say anything about payable on sale. So that's something that we would need to revise if we want it to be payable. I think there's some tweaks, some amendments that we're going to want to make to the installment payment policy in any case to address the Horizon Drive situation, because it's a little bit different from what we were looking at for just somebody who would come along with a single parcel, wanted to connect to an existing main line.
This is the kind of discussion where I can see you, Rick, and John, and Jose, just in that, get to meet everybody, and here's where we're at on things. It would be nice because Jose's going to have a lot of catch up to do. And you and Rick already know. Well, this sort of stuff, just so we don't have to revisit it and spend a lot of time going over things that we've already talked about. Public comments? Yes, sir.
So clarification, 36,000 Connection Street, this, what's called Horizon, 18 houses on Horizon?
Yeah, that number is an estimate. It's an estimate.
It's not a lateral, it's just the
Correct.
connection to where?
To the, it's the payment for connecting to the main line.
So it goes right up to what? Or is it from to use from?
You then have to, the customer would then have to place a lateral from the main line to their house. A smaller line.
The 36 are included.
It is not.
Well, the 36.
John,
Per parcel.
what that gives you is the main line, you get a stub. It's the responsibility, it's stubbed to your property line. At that point, you are responsible for abandoning your system, taking the line and bringing it to the stub, and we approve the connection. That cost on your property is 100% the responsibility of the homeowner. Our responsibility brings you the stub right to your property line. So that cost is 100% on you to bring it to the main stub at your property line. It could be very cheap. It could be expensive if you've got to cut concrete to get under there. If you go through the grass, it's going to be a lot cheaper. It's a case-by-case basis.
If it was me, I would be expecting to spend about 50,000, right? My part of the main line, and then my work of abandoning my old septic and putting in the plumbing I need to go on sewer. It's probably going to be about, you can't hold me to that, but it's probably going to, that's ballpark.
Yes. It's pretty much going right off of the state. That's
Well,
That's not bad.
what?
Not bad.
We were looking into stadium to see if it would reduce your cost, but it won't. It actually
Ups it a little
hurts
bit.
you.
Yeah. Way we have it, we talked to the engineer, and it's the best, cleanest way to do it. We were gonna stub it out if they were not interested at Stadium, right at the corner of Horizon and Refugio. Run it back down Horizon and bring it right in over by Santa Cota. And then that picks up the main, okay? That's the most effective, cost-effective, cheapest way as per, he gave us 4 alternatives, and it's the cleanest way to do it. So we'd stub it out there for the future stadium. If they wanted to do it, then they pick that up. But you guys would have your system.
Last question. Do you ever foresee a situation where you, as a board, would compel everybody on stadium to hook up?
Can't do that.
You cannot do that?
No, you can't force somebody to do that without cause, and cause has to be from environmental health, that they have degraded the area.
Environmental health is the one who would mandate that.
Yeah. Actually, it's Regional Water Quality Control Board who comes in and says, you will hook up, like they did in Los Osos because of the environmental health.
What the law
May do it.
states right now.
Right,
is
with
if
the
you
regional
have
water
a-
quality control.
Once we put in the main line, if your septic system fails, if you're within 200 feet, correct? 200 feet
Yes.
of a main line from your property line, you have to hook up, not put it in your septic.
Yeah.
Yes, Miss Ivy.
If, once you get this estimate in and you have a cost, can we still have an option of paying for it rather than having it financed?
Yes.
Or do you have to stay with the finance? Because there was no figures on the letter as to what you were agreeing to, you know, as to a cost. So I think that's what a lot of people just said, well, we'll just put down. I think everybody said they'll just finance it, you know, because we had no idea what the cost was. But I want to know if that's still an option when it comes down to ground zero.
We'd love you to pay cash for it. It would make our life simpler.
You know, I think we should put together in a proposal a couple of options like that. You pay it cash, you pay it a couple of incremental payments, or finance it for the duration of the 20 or 30 years. That gives you the option. Hopefully it'll generate a little more cash back to us quicker to recoup our investment.
But you know, people are reluctant to do that unless they know how much.
Right.
Of course.
Once it's rolled out, what I mean by rolled out, we have a loan and we have an engineer has submitted the project and contractors are bidding on it. That's when we get the final best cost. At that point, it would be, no one's connected, of course. At that point, it's going to be exactly $35,000, $893, or whatever it is. And then everyone could select pay cash or finance. And then as the years go on, as others decide to connect to the system, they'll have the same option.
Do we have an approximate timeline?
That's a good question. When I'm filling out the loan application, I'm very optimistic. I'm probably too optimistic. And what I said was by November of this year. And that may be too optimistic because we won't be able to build a big project and dig up streets and create trenches if it's raining or if the rainy season starts. So either it starts before this rain season or it starts the end of next spring. Likely. That's just.
But
We'd like to move it forward
Yeah.
as soon as possible.
It could be this.
Oh, yeah.
This fall before November. If it rains.
It can become a real disaster though, if it starts raining. You may wish you never started.
Right.
We know all about that.
That's the wettest spot.
Right.
Well, the advantage also, if we waited till the end of spring, I know it's just more headache for you, but it gives us more time to cross our T's, dot our I's, focus more on it, as opposed to going by November with a timeline, trying to get it done before the rainy season. You know, sometimes we're penny wise and dollar foolish. And I'd like, you know, I know you've been through a lot and my heart's with you guys. But, you know, at this point, this is not the time to start shaving corners, you know, after all we've been through. We'll get it done right for you. And when it's all done, you'll be much happier that we did that. And good, thank you.
Is there anything else, comment, discussion, direction to staff
So the direction staff needs to confirm that when we submit the application and final engineering report do not include stadium, or we're just focusing, the application would just be alone in the horizon, it would be 685, not 1.6 million.
That sounds great for me.
Well, so we're not, there isn't a motion that I'm looking for. I think we're all just saying to move forward with Horizon and Stadium. They had their chance, man. Well, and we're there for them. I mean, but we don't need to worry about Stadium right now. We just keep moving forward with Horizon. Yeah, maybe. Okay.
And they also have, Stadium also has other options to go that way and through the high school. They won't authorize it? It is too shallow? Okay. Well, then this is the best way, like you said. So we just kept it.
Their only option today, but who knows what's going to be discovered in the next couple of years? Who pictured what today was going to look like? Yeah. Okay, so we've given adequate direction to staff there.
Yes, we'll focus on Horizon.
Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and move on to action item 7F, which is cow warn, and I believe that is you, John. Yes.
We directed staff, we didn't have to vote on it.
Yeah, we're all in agreement. Just keep doing what you're doing, guys.
Well,
And
you know, Director Beard, he said you'd be static, if we got 50% on Horizon Drive, we got 8.
this is him ecstatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the time you start on it, you're gonna have 100%.
Yeah, and we want to move forward with it, and really, I think this should have been done years ago.
Thank you, guys. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you for sticking with it.
You know, Director Downer, what you said was so true about Los Olivos. Thank God you could speak up.
Yeah.
That was so true.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Song, folks.
Thanks.
Okay, now we go to. I've been waiting a long time.
Yeah,
We're
patiently,
we're focusing on it. We had to check a few boxes off, the financial box, and then the fee issue, and I think we're checking them all.
Just so you know, if you don't have this done by next week, I'm going to give her your personal phone number.
Your district council reminded me I didn't get everything done.
Okay, well, let us move to 7F, Cal Warren, and that is
So,
also you, John.
back on the, at the last meeting of the May 20th meeting, your board directed staff to review membership in Cal Warren. And this item came up recently with the potential impacts of the COVID epidemic and the staffing concerns all us small water wastewater agencies could have experienced. This, of course, has not occurred here for us. However, there was a big concern, and even local agencies within the valley got together, and we all put together some names and numbers of in case this thing was really going to be bad. And we all lost all our operations staff, who we could call for help. The ID1, Solvang, and it was cost sharing, and how would we do this? So Cal Warren is the California Water Wastewater Agency Response Network. It's a mutual aid agreement for water wastewater agencies in California. The purpose is to, in time of an issue or of a problem within one of the agencies, it's not necessarily just a disaster. It's defined. The Cal Warren system is defined as a natural or human caused event or circumstance causing immediately threatening to cause impact to the operations of the system. If you belong to Cal Warren, you could reach out to another member agency and ask for help. And the agreement is set in place for how you, the responding agency gets reimbursed for staffing or reimbursed for equipment or reimbursed for material to the requesting agency. So it's a mutual aid agreement in effect.
Because we have always done that anyway.
Well, we have an informal, we have an informal agreement with Los Alamos, a phone call, but we have nothing in writing.
Right, well, that's what I mean. We always just have these agreements and everybody pitched in and helped each other. This is like who goes after and who gets the money and who gets to keep what part of the money.
How does the insurance work? If we were to send our future backhoe over to Los Alamos, and it gets ruined, who pays for it?
Yes.
Frank pays for it, it was his idea.
If we send our truck over there, it's not four-wheel drive, and it's stuck in the mud, who gets to tow it out? The Cal Water Agreement discusses those things. It does still give an agency the ability to just say, no, I can't go. I've been requested to go, I can't send the resources, or I don't want to. So there's no requirement, but it's a formal system. You know, there's 33 agencies just in Santa Barbara and South Central County that belong to this. We're in Region 1, which is San Luis, Santa Barbara, Orange County, Los Angeles. So it's a big region.
It's a big region.
It's huge.
And what we're seeking tonight is authorization to sign this agreement.
Sign the agreement and we would enter the calendar 5.
There is none, but is there any downside? I know that Rick and you have looked at this. Is there, are we in any way making ourselves vulnerable to anything?
No, because I think we could say no. We could say no, and it may very well we just end up asking for and helping agencies within our.
This is an extension of, was started in 1976 in the fire department when they brought mutual aid. And it was a little rough, and today it's push a button and you have San Francisco here in 4 hours. Hundreds.
Yeah, also a great opportunity for people to experience the most normally get here.
You made a comment on funding.
The funding, so the mutual aid agreement, it specifies that the responding agency, so if someone asks us for us, we're the responding agency, the requesting agency would reimburse us for staffing, per diem, I mean, lodging. And
The
food.
requester is on the hook for the
Yes.
cost. Okay.
The requester's on the hook for all of this.
And we have, okay, how would that work if we have a major incident? That could put us in significant debt.
We don't have to go.
Well, but things tend to expandable situations. We get there and we need more and we contact more resources. Is there some kind of an insurance thing that's available for that? Or I'm just trying to find out because I know what happens with the fire department.
Yes. For our insurance, I really don't know. Insurance, they help.
The state picks up for the fire department. They pick up all the airplanes, the helicopters, and all the CAL FIRE guys. And then they reimburse the small departments. Is there part of the state agency that we're with that would?
If it was a major earthquake is our best example.
Yeah.
The lines are breaking throughout San Ynez Valley or throughout the whole Central Coast. FEMA's here. So we're all submitting applications. It does take some time.
Okay, that's good.
It takes some time, but you would get.
So we do have a recourse to recoup our loss. Okay.
I don't know if you were here when we had the line over on Cimarron break, but we got reimbursed from FEMA for that. Because it was a rainstorm and our line broke. We got reimbursed for all the costs, all the staff time.
I'm just trying to make sure that we got our bases covered here. Yeah, well, that's good.
So if we call on them, then our job is to document who we got, where we got from, what did they do, how many hours did they spend, because then we would pay them, but then we would in turn get reimbursed from FEMA.
And does FEMA give you like 20% on top of that cost of overhead too? I know they did to the fire department.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know
Good.
if it's 20%, but there is a cost.
Okay.
You know, another benefit of this might be that say we did have big earthquake here, most likely Los Alamos would be affected by it too. You'll and solving. But this, a district that we would be in is so large that probably LA would not be as affected most likely. And we would be able to draw people from there, which would be beneficial.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's identified a downside of doing
Right.
this.
Or we could send our staff if we're slow and to help in other areas.
Right.
Yeah, it's like if Newport Beach had a big problem and they need management help, how to respond.
You're a very kind and generous man, John.
Per diem and
Yes, You're always ready to jump in the car and come help some needy, yes, of course.
I make the motion.
Okay, so, Director Beard made a motion that the recommendation is, blah, 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 authorize, the board president to sign the attached agreement. And, Director Redford seconded it.
Okay, we have a motion by Beard and a second by Director Redfern to approve the district membership in the California Water Wastewater Agency Response Network and to authorize the board president to sign. Roll call vote, Director Muller,
Aye.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Lambert.
Aye.
Director Redfern. Motion passes.
The only thing that bothers me at all about this is that I don't have the job that gets to make up the silly names. Like, I would love to do these acronyms, the TAWARN.
You know, if you would be so kind as to brief the staff about this, what you know, and that, so they're aware. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, they get called, what are you talking about?
Where am I going?
John who?
Okay, now we're gonna flip over to 7G, and this is on the outreach. Is this Wendy or John?
Both us.
Okay.
When you did the newsletter, right? Totally.
He did his staff.
So yeah, per your board's direction, we did put together a newsletter. We published that in the beginning of July. We kind of kept it to one page, double-sided, and, you know, we always have more to say than we had one page for, but we have an employee profile. That's all in Greece, the FOG program, which is constantly an issue here.
Well, it's been changed to Frog.
I know, but
I like going with Frog. I was happy to see
I
that.
left the roots out. I just like FOG.
I'm with you.
And then we did mention and talk about the sewer system expansion. Horizon, the right area. We had a couple of short little updates to the public there. One of the updates was that it's an informational item that the district does coordinate with our elections, with the state election process. And on November 3rd, there is an election. And we tell the public that the campaign or the nomination period is July through August 14th for a board seat and contact the county clerk. That's mostly just get the word out there that there is an election here. And that's discretionary to the board. It's not a political statement. It's simply a.
Who's up for reelection?
Me, both Franks and me.
So, so really the question tonight is if we want to go on some sort of schedule for our newsletter. Semi-annual would be twice a year. We clearly have enough information to talk about twice a year process. We could talk about items, our relationship with the CHUMAC. I'm sure many of the residents here don't know what goes on there. We have a relationship, we have a contractual relationship.
Well, we may want to save that for the next newsletter in case the contractual relationship changes.
We could always have an article about annexations out of area agreements, and we seem to do a lot of those. How do those work, and what are we doing? We have little bits and pieces of property here, not within our sphere of influence, here and there. Us in the city of Salt how many of our residents know that we own a portion of that wastewater plant? We actually own it, but they're paying for it. You know, little things like that, just kind of update informational items that are interesting. But hey, you own 140,000 gallons per day capacity. That own that capacity.
And I'm not using all of it. I need to up my game.
Add more connection.
I have an issue with the employee profile. I think he stands very well. I think it would be better, more attractive, if he had a surfboard holding it. That would definitely, I'm gonna tell him that.
No, we're looking at content, Bob. You're not that kind of editor, are you?
That is an old picture.
Oh, really?
We got the water behind, that would be,
Well,
anyway.
nobody has any new pictures because we carry cameras around in our pockets now.
Okay, I think this
Well,
is
great.
informative. It's not intrusive over time. Gives them, you know, it's not something like you had mentioned that they see it and they throw it away because it's there every week or every month.
No, a couple times a year. And
That's
also,
great.
we got a new GM coming. No offense, John, but he may have some ideas, you know, maybe he's a closet writer and he's like, oh, I want to put one out every month, a note from the manager. Who knows, but I hope we don't do it that much,
Well,
just
we'll
for
have to straighten him out in a
postage.
hurry, though.
No, well, what we would do would say, well, this is cool, Jose, because you're gonna have your own blog on the webpage, and anytime you feel moved to type something up, just will have it be in the GM's corner on the webpage.
So this is ready to go?
Yeah,
Great.
There you go, we're just looking at
Excellent, thank you.
feedback and to see if we want to have a schedule or any,
semi-annual.
I would say for right now, semi-annual is about as much as I'd want to commit to. And then as needed, because as we found out, oh, we're gonna do outreach, if we want to remind people about
If
sewer
something major
rights.
happens,
Yeah,
yeah, is that's reasonable.
I think that's very reasonable and a very good job. Thank you. Did you, and then we're also gonna do a press release, that Jose's coming aboard. So yay, meet the news.
Press release, I'll do that. I was gonna do that, but, yeah, the big players.
Oh, okay. Not like,
Yeah.
The
No.
Sumac, the Sullivan, the Middleton, big players.
The who's who, all the people he associates with.
The media
Let's
list.
see what he five. Let's do it. Wendy, Craig, the guys.
Okay, so we're pretty clear on what we have directed staff on the newsletter, right? We send it out, we like it, and any other comments before we move on to the manager's report?
And Horizon's posting ahead.
Yeah.
That's this, okay, good. I'm just, I guess,
Yeah.
I want him to get it, you know. Hey, if I could, I got, but tomorrow I'll start digging.
Well,
She's been, for so many years, she's been so patient, and she's been corkscrewed by 2 managers that I know of. And for her to keep her cool and come here and be professional and be patient, that's a hell of a character in a person. You know, so I'm, like I said, and I know you guys all feel the same way. I'm indebted to her for her kindness under such adverse conditions in the past and all that she's gone through during the winter. So.
I'm indebted to her scrappiness.
she's tried like.
Yeah. No, she's stuck with it and
I think it's, I think the project has a better focus now. I think it will get. But that you need to focus. Otherwise you're floating around, you know, where's the money? It's a focus.
Is what's going to hold us up on?
Just submittal to the state, now the application. The state has dozens of bureaucratic processes to go through there. That will make it through. They need a budget that we need to supply them with. And it's unusual looking at the application, because we're telling the state of California, I need $685,000 for 18 homes. Because they asked, how many residents will it serve? About 55. That sounds unusual, which it does.
So we could massage that. It's 18 homes, if we say about 55 residents, as opposed to the 18 homes.
no, Bob, we say 55 senior citizens.
Senior citizens.
So,
It's just not very accurate.
yeah, so it's.
Means you gotta make them sympathetic though,
If you're
fixed
doing
income.
a project to your wastewater treatment plant, you can say it serves 3,000 people. And everyone uses a little bit of it. We know exactly, give us this money, it's gonna serve 55 people.
So you know how to massage that within the fine line.
That's what the M and the GM is for massage.
So it's a submittal of that. The engineer, and I'll work with Mike on this, needs to take his reports that he's published and repackage them to submit to the state and stamp from an engineer. It's a project description. They need it from an engineer.
So they want to look at the project, they want the blueprints.
Not necessarily the blueprints. They want, at this point, the initial application stage, they need a project, not all the way up to blueprints, less than that.
And how far away from the bidding process would that be? Could he put this out to bid during that period? Is that part of an inclusionary process?
I would recommend that we not put it out to bid until the district receives a approval
From the state? And you're talking within the year?
So how long does it usually take for the approval from the state?
They rank you in a priority list, so it's hard to tell what our priority is, but our priority would be high, I believe. And it could be a handful of months, 4 or 5 months, something or maybe less. One of the questions they ask is this a septic sewer project? That's a question.
Well, they like that, right?
You would think that's why they're asking.
They're all environmentally up in Sacramento. It's very, that should be a bonus for us.
It's federal money, so there is some federal environmental processes you need to go through. We have a consultant and work with us on that. I don't see any problems there. So I think it'll go quicker and quicker.
Well, if we could just, any portrayal as a disadvantaged community is always a winner.
They asked that question and we had to answer that median household income here is $94,000.
Not on that block. I mean, well, income versus, what you're worth is different. I would say most of those people's income is a fixed income now, even though the house is worth
They
a
asked the
million.
question, what's the median household income?
Well, those 18 houses, it is probably 36,000 a
We
year.
would have to do a focused analysis rather than look at the census, which we're doing.
No, I don't mean to do anything to slow it down, but just any opportunity to point out that these people might look richer on paper just by their home value when they're actually probably living on Social Security and augmenting that with a little bit of retirement.
It's unusual. I was living in San Francisco County. So it's unusual to me that the city of San Francisco ranks as a low income community.
Those college students and
College students.
Mhm.
They make $6,000 a year and they live there. So San Francisco gets the cheap loans and the grants. And the rest of the communities don't.
This package to be submitted, may I ask you, with all due respect, will this be done before you leave? Will this be packaged up, or I would just like to see get going, because I could see, a lot of erasures coming with the new GM, jumping into something as intricate as this is going to be.
Yeah, I will be able to help them. Will we be able to get everything done by the 20th? I'm not sure.
well, you know what will be done by the 20th? Well, maybe not by the 20th, but almost immediately working with Jose, I have confidence that you will know if he is up to the task or not. I believe that.
And he's focused on his project. When I told him he does not need to focus on the MSR, he's focused on his project. He's focused on it. You gotta get this project done. Same thing he told me about.
I don't know if you believe that or you're telling us that so you can just get out of here as soon as possible.
He knows it's the focus.
Okay.
That's our single focus.
Because if he doesn't work out, we'll call him
We were talking
Not that
about
we don't think Jose is going to work out.
I know, I'm teasing.
We're all teasing.
It's a total joke.
He's interested in his focus.
Oh, I know he's focused as he's watching this meeting right now and taking notes, and he knows the confidence that we all have. On to the temporary manager's report.
Yeah.
Temporary management report. So that's a good segue. So actually, I do have a vacation. It's unpaid. I don't get paid for vacations, but I was scheduled that 6 months ago. It's a family and friends. We go camping in the Eastern Sierras every year for 25 years. So I'm leaving on July 9th, and I'm not getting back until the 15th.
Perfect.
That means the next board meeting is on the 15th of July. So my question is, do you want me to attend via Zoom? I won't make it here from Mammoth, 15th. Or do you not want me to attend the meeting? Or do we want to go in the meeting or have it earlier or later? Or what is your board's? So I will not physically be there.
What about doing it on the 22nd?
We can do that.
And then
That'd be Friday.
I don't know, I did some crazy housewife math just now. Oh, no, okay, the 20th is Monday, so I was,
No,
okay.
I'm sorry. No, when's our next meeting? It's the 20, what's our 25th? Our next meeting is the 25th.
No, it's the 15th of July.
Oh, 15th, so yeah. I'm not
Okay,
here.
so that's what I'm saying, make it when, the 22nd,
22nd.
because they would have just started.
So you would be here for the meeting.
Yeah, you could help any prep in that
Great,
5 days before.
great. We could go, so you would cancel the meeting, and then it would be called a special meeting on the 22nd.
Because we can't just reschedule our regular
Cancel the
meeting.
regular meeting, special meeting, which is just.
Okay.
regular meeting
See how much we do for you, John?
On the 22nd. I won't be here for the meeting, so this is my last meeting, okay? And so I also wanted just to thank the board, for the opportunity to last since February. I have appreciated it, it's been good. It's been good to have something to do for COVID-19. Staff, it's been great to work with Wendy and Greg and the guys, Kevin. Rick, you listening?
I'm listening.
I like lawyers, but I like Rick, and I enjoy working with him. And he's a pro and a benefit to the agency. It's been good. I do appreciate it.
Well, like I told you, you couldn't have hit a longer home run, the right guy in the right situation for us. We were circling the drain, I think is a fair assessment, and you came in and resuscitated it all.
I still remember the call I got. I was driving in my truck going to the gym, and the phone came on my truck saying it said Frank Muller. And I went, oh gosh, probably gonna tell me no thanks, John. You were caught during the interview, you didn't get it. And I said, congratulations, John. Oh, okay, turn away from the gym. So it has been good. And I appreciated working with all 5 of you. And the staff is neat, loyal and dedicated, and they're interested in their community and their agency. So it's been appreciated. I'm here for Jose as much help as he needs. I just don't want to step on toes. He's now a new sheriff.
We get that, but you have been a GM for a long period of your career, and this is him taking a step forward, becoming one. So I'd just kind of like you to just have a little bit of a goodbye kiss.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'll let Jose know the good news, and by the way, you're running the board meeting.
Well, it'll all be good. I think everything's worked out really well. So was there any more to the manager's report? Okay, and we will let you deal with the paperwork end of it, where Wendy has to cancel the meeting on the 15th and do the special meeting. Okay, and so Rick, you are up on legal counsel's report.
Okay, a couple of things to report on. You may recall at a previous meeting, sometime after the first of the year, I reported that there had been a number of bills that passed that make the development of accessory dwelling units easier. So parking requirements were relaxed, fees were capped or eliminated, prohibited. Different restrictions were removed or eased, so that the whole intent was to make it easier to build ADUs. And there were 7 or 8 different bills that passed, and they were all making amendments to the same ADU sections, but making different amendments. And it was difficult at the time to see which bill was doing what to which section, because the sections themselves are fairly dense. And in some cases, a bill would say, this portion of this bill will go into effect only if that portion of the other bill doesn't pass, and that kind of thing. All that to say, I had to wait for the dust to settle a little bit and see what actually showed up in the legislative publications before I could analyze the extent to which these new laws affect the district, and more specifically, the relatively recently adopted capacity fee ordinance that addresses fees for accessory dwelling units. And because so many changes were made to the fee provisions, I was concerned that our ordinance might not comply with the final versions of these bills. So I finally undertook that analysis, and the bottom line is our ordinance works just fine and doesn't need to be amended. It calculates fees for ADUs based on fixture units, and that's still allowed. There was a clarification. The old law talked about you have to calculate an ADU fee either based on size or plumbing fixtures. And the change was to change size to square footage, which is what you would assume, and fixture units to dwelling fixture units, which is what our ordinance already says. But then it makes reference to the uniform plumbing code as opposed to the California plumbing code. It's the Uniform Plumbing Code published by the International Association of Plumbing and Mechanical Officials. And our code just says California Plumbing Code. So technically we don't track the language in the new statute, but my understanding is that the California Plumbing Code is based on the Uniform Plumbing Code with certain revisions. And so without getting into the nuts and bolts of the California Plumbing Code and doing a side-by-side comparison, I'm just issuing the opinion that our ordinance works as is and we don't need to make a change. When it comes time for us to make an amendment to our ordinance, we might want to change the reference to the particular code, but I think we're fine, and we're still allowed to calculate our ADU fees based on fixture units, and that's how we've been doing it, and so that's how we can do it going forward.
And that doesn't matter if it's attached or if it's a freestanding ADU, it's the same way.
There are different requirements depending on the type of ADU, and we cannot charge a capacity fee at all if an ADU is created out of existing space.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that law didn't change. And what we can charge a capacity fee on is a ADU that's new square footage, either an addition to an existing residence or a construction of a new separate structure on a lot. In those cases, we can charge a fee, and that was the case under the old law when we adopted our ordinance. It's the case under the new law. So our ordinance and our fee is still permitted under the law. So that's one thing I wanted to report on. That's been on my list of things to do for a while, is to analyze our ordinance in light of the new law. Then getting back to the newsletter issue, I just wanted to mention that there are lots of regulations that apply to newsletters. A newsletter is called a mass mailing by the Fair Political Practices Commission. And the Fair Political Practices Commission is concerned that public agencies don't spend money sending out newsletters with information that public agencies aren't supposed to be disclosing. The primary concern is that you not allow elected public officials to send out newsletters touting what a great job they're doing, because it gives them an unfair advantage in an election. So one of the restrictions, and a mass mailing is anytime you spend public money to mail something out at public expense and it goes out to more than 200 people. And we've got more than 200 people in our district. So when we send out a newsletter, if it's mailed, it's a mass mailing. If it's posted on the web, it's not, because no mailing occurs and no public expenses incurred there, aside from staff time. So assuming these are going to get mailed and they go out to more than 200 people, they're a mass mailing. And that means you can't feature a director in the newsletter. In the way that you featured Craig in this last newsletter, you couldn't feature a director saying, featuring this month, Director Karen Jones, and this is what she does, and she's been on the board this long, and nice picture of you. You can't do that. You can have a listing of the directors, like a roster, so long as nobody's singled out and nobody's in bold type, and you can only mention the name one time. There's that restriction, but you can't even do that if it's going out within 60 days before an election. So without getting into any more detail than that, I just wanted to point out that it's important to carefully review the restrictions on mass mailings every time you send out a newsletter. I see newsletters all the time that just blatantly violate these requirements. There's also a requirement that a district not advocate on a political issue. So you couldn't say the district urges you to vote in favor of Measure M on the upcoming ballot, because then you're taking a political position. And there are a bunch of rules about whether you're advocating or just providing objective, unbiased information, all kinds of tests there. But that's something else to be careful about in a newsletter. I've seen newsletters where, again, blatant violations and the agencies are apparently not aware of the limitations. So I just want the district to be aware of that and have me review newsletters in advance, or make sure that you look at the FPPC, Fair Political Practices Commission, information on that. They have flyers and website information that makes it all pretty clear what you can do and can't do.
Yes, but they don't make it very clear how they're going to enforce it.
Well, I
Because I'm
think-
like you, I get all this stuff, and during this recent primary, we had every elected person in the Tri-County talking about traffic safety on 154. And it was obviously at an election rally. And the, certain schools will put all their bond stuff up, and they promise us that the school isn't doing political work. Or if you call and complain, you should see the runaround you get from those people at their political practices. But we don't want to step in it. So I think that we're safe putting the elections up. None of our names of board members are on this, and we're only featuring employees.
Right. Yeah. I didn't see any problem with this newsletter at all. I thought it was good.
Yes, I think so too. I think it's nice. Okay,
Okay. That's all I have.
then we can go to the Secretary Treasurer report.
I have nothing, we did all my stuff.
Okay, and how about the committee stuff? We did the.
Well, let's just go back to John.
Well, yeah, let's just keep telling him what a great guy he is.
The only thing we have for the committee that I was the finance committee. We submitted the thing.
Well, very good. So then we can go to director's comments. I think are the only thing left, right? Okay, does anybody have any comments, any of the directors? No? Okay, well, I had some coming in, but I'm not gonna have any now. I said we get all talked out in the meeting. We're fine. So, okay, then adjournment at, looking for time, 7:27 PM. Adjourn the meeting. Oh, yeah, sure. Make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:28 PM.
Second.
Oh,
Oh, I made it. I don't usually make the motion, but it's like, come on, let's adjourn. Get your coat, everybody, we're leaving. Good seeing you, Rick. See you in real
Nice
life
to
soon.
see you also.
This is rough. I mean, the not getting your eyebrows done and going to high def camera. Ugh. Like I'm not that vain, but it's killing me. Oh, what do I do?
Get on my end.
Okay, bye-bye. What do I do? There we go.